So anyone who is just logging on, again, it is Brittany with Scott Leroy Marketing. And today we are going to be going over our website platform through Command. So this is going to be the website 201 class. So this is going to be everything from making sure that your marketing profile is launched and put together, to adding a custom mortgage calculator, to adding a local school search. We're going to go over how to capture and manage testimonials. And then I'm also going to show you how to add some custom content to your website. So this is going to be covered in today's class. If you have not set up your website previously, if you are brand new to Keller Williams and you haven't utilized the Command website previously, some of the items that we cover today may not be available yet. And we'll be going over that as well, just so you can kind of see exactly what needs to be set up. But if your base website has not been launched yet, you will not be able to add additional pages to that website. So I am going to go ahead and get logged into the Command platform. That is your agent.kw.com platform. I am using Chrome, and I'm also using the incognito browser. There have been some updates done on Command recently. So if you are having any hiccups with the Command platform, generally swapping the browser that you're using will fix any of those issues. So that's usually our first recommendation. So I'm going to go ahead and get logged in. Once we are logged into Command, the first thing I generally like to go over, especially for the website classes, just to make sure that our marketing profile is ready to go, that all of our information is populating, that it's there, that it's showing correctly. So in order to navigate to that location, we're going to go ahead and click on our name in the top right-hand corner. And then we're going to go ahead and click on Settings. So our name and then Settings. And this section sometimes takes a second to load. So again, don't panic if it doesn't populate immediately. Once we are in the back end of settings, our marketing profile is going to be tucked right underneath our Connect settings. So when I click on that, I now have my marketing profile. We're going to go ahead and click on Marketing Profile and just make sure that everything is populating the way that we want it to. So think of your marketing profile as your ground zero for marketing. Everything that you guys create through Command, whether it's an email campaign, a smart plan, your mobile app, your website, your landing pages, all of those marketing pieces that you have access to create through Command are going to pull your information directly from your marketing profile. So making sure that your information is correct on here is very important. First things first, we have our headshot. You'll notice that it shows up in a circle. If your headshot is not cropped to be a square, it tries to fit it within that circle, meaning it's going to distort that headshot on you. It's either going to stretch it or it's going to squish it. So generally, making sure that your headshot is cropped to being a perfect square prior to adding it as your headshot will avoid any distortion. For the logo, you'll notice that Scott just has a general KW logo. That's completely fine. You can also add the Realtor logo, or if you happen to have a team logo. This, however, does not have to be a square. It will actually auto-populate itself and auto-adjust itself on all of your marketing. So if you happen to have a team logo or the logo that you're using, it maybe is like a rectangle or it's not a perfect square or circle, that's completely fine. The logos, again, are going to kind of correct themselves automatically, so you don't have to worry about that. We also have all of my details. This is going to be where all of your basic information pulls from. If you guys ever see a discrepancy on a piece of marketing, that your name is spelled incorrectly, maybe your job title looks funky, anything along those lines, this is usually the best place to start your search. Check here to make sure that it's showing up in your marketing profile correctly. We also recommend making sure that everything that you guys plug into, not only the My Details, but also a little bit further down when we get to our brokerage information, make sure you're within compliance. Anything that your board or brokerage require for compliance, make sure that you're following that, because again, this is your ground zero for marketing, so everything will pull from here. We have our bio plugged in here. You'll notice that Scott does have his line breaks entered, meaning that this is exactly how this bio is going to show up on his marketing, including his mobile app and the actual office website. So meaning if somebody goes to kw.com and locates Scott as a real estate agent, they're going to see exactly the bio that's showing here. Scrolling down a smidge more, we have our contact information. Making sure that our contact information is accurate is obviously very important because this is how your clients are going to get in touch with you. We do have a mobile phone and an office number. You'll notice that both of these are required. If you do not want your office number on your marketing, you can replicate your mobile number as long as that is within compliance. However, keep in mind that's going to do exactly that in the sense that you are going to have a replicated phone number on all of your marketing. You also have your email and your website. For your email, and we get this question all of the time, you do not have to use the KW email. This is going to be whatever email you plan to run your marketing through. So in other words, if you have an existing email, Scott has his Scott@Scott Marketing email, maybe you're an existing agent, you're on a team, whatever email you plan on corresponding with your clients through, that's going to be the email you want to populate here. For the website, if you are using the command provided website, which is what we are going over today, and your URL ends in .kw.com, which all command websites will end in .kw.com, you want to make sure that it does not start with www. So if you have your website currently in here and you have www at the beginning of that URL, go ahead and remove that. That's going to pull up a privacy error when your clients go to the physical URL. The command website URL will not work with www in the URL itself. This also means if you are putting your website on your marketing materials, maybe on a flyer, maybe on your email signature, make sure that you're not putting www prior or before that actual URL. Another thing, add in https:// just like how I have it on my screen. Plug that into the beginning of your URL. What that's going to do is it's going to make your website clickable from all of your marketing materials. Essentially, it's going to save a step for your clients. So if they find you on the mobile app, they find you on kw.com, they're going to be able to click right on your website URL and it's going to load your website for them. They're not going to have to copy and paste that into a browser. If you are using a custom domain that does not end in .kw.com, let us know. We can take a look at it because how you add that here, it will vary based on where you purchased the domain through and how it was set up originally. So unfortunately, there isn't a blanket answer for custom domains. Scrolling down a smidge, we have our brokerage information. Brokerage logo is on the left. This is generally going to be your office logo. If your office doesn't have a specific logo, you may notice that it's just the Keller Williams logo. That's also completely fine. Then we have our brokerage information. Just make sure that this information looks correct, meaning make sure it looks familiar. If you recently transferred offices or maybe your office recently relocated, anything along those lines, just make sure that this address and brokerage name make sense. Scrolling down a smidge more, we have access to add compliance information. So for compliance, and again, this is fantastic because it's kind of your one-stop shop, you do have access to add not only legal footer text, but legal footer links, and legal footer images. These will show up on all of your marketing that pull from your marketing profile, which again is fantastic because it's just going to automatically pull moving forward. If you guys do have specific text you need to add in here through your board or brokerage, you can plug that in. Legal footer links, all of my New York agents and Texas agents, you guys have a couple of links that need to be added here. And then for legal footer images, if you do have a specific image that needs to be added, you can plug that in. If not, and you've acquired additional designations, you can also add your designation logos here. It's a great way to get those on marketing. They do show up very tiny. They're only 128 by 48 pixels, but it will at least get them added to your marketing. Adds a little bit of flair to your marketing. Last but not least, we have our social media platforms. So as far as our social media pages go, and this is a personal recommendation, set up business pages. This is just to ensure that your business pages are essentially geared towards real estate. Generally, if you have personal social media platforms, personal social media pages, you may be posting personal information to those pages. When you add your pages to your marketing profile, this is automatically going to add a quick link to all of these pages from your website, meaning that your clients will be able to access this no matter what. Obviously, where it's your real estate website, we just recommend doing business pages prior to adding them in here. If you haven't had a chance to create business pages, no worries. We do have tip videos that we can provide on how to get those created, specifically for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Generally, a business page is going to be recommended, and it will actually be required if you want to integrate those pages with Command. So if you try to run an ad or a post down the line through the campaign section, business pages will be required. As far as YouTube and LinkedIn, as long as your YouTube is geared towards real estate, that's completely fine. LinkedIn, any profile you guys create will be business, so that's also fine. But once you guys do have your URLs created for these platforms, you can come in here, plug them in just as you're seeing it is the full URL, including the HTTPS, paste that in, and it will just add a clickable link on your website for you. Next thing is our Google Analytics. Google Analytics recently went through an update this past summer, and Command is still working to update the Command website to kind of match those updates that were released. So if you had already set up Google Analytics, you should be grandfathered in and it should still be working. However, if you haven't set up Google Analytics yet, you're welcome to set this up. However, we are seeing that it is not yet tracking. So Google Analytics is meant to track the traffic of your website through Command, which is fantastic. It tracks the clicks, it tracks how many people are visiting your website. However, with this recent update, it's not currently tracking any of the traffic. So if you did just recently set it up, don't panic. They are in the process of revamping kind of how this integrates, and then you should be golden soon. We're hopeful that will be done at some point this year. If you guys made any edits at all, make sure that you are clicking Save Changes all the way down at the bottom. Once you click on that, you just get a little pop-up letting you know that everything was successfully saved. You can go ahead and X out of that. And then before jumping into the physical website, just make sure that on the top right-hand corner, we have a green toggle switch. If you are seeing a gray button here, this means that all of your information that you just put together is not yet being shared with your marketing. So just make sure that this is a green bubble. Once that's been confirmed, we are going to go ahead and click on our consumer tab. The consumer tab is the bottom tab on the left-hand side. And if you guys ever question which tab is which, this white KW in the red square is going to label all of your tabs for you. We're just going to go ahead and click on consumer. Once we get into that consumer section, this may look pretty familiar to some of you. This is where your website is. This is going to have your website URL kind of right front and center, and it generally will have the 3 basic pages that are added from going through the website 101 class, or if we set your website up for you, you should also have those 3 pages set up. That being said, if you are getting to this point and you are not seeing that your website is live, you're not seeing any pages here, you're not seeing a clickable link at the top, this means that your website has not yet been created. You are more than welcome to go through today's class. However, you will not be able to make these pages live until you have a live website already created. So you'll kind of be able to go through and create kind of copies of today's pages, but they won't be able to be added to a website until a website exists. That being said, as far as the process for today, and this is the process that I normally go through with our website 201 class, is we'll go through and we'll create all of the pages at once. So we'll kind of go through and we'll do the testimonial capture, we'll do the mortgage calculator, we'll do the school search, then we'll do some custom content. Then we'll go ahead and make them live all at once at the end of class. This makes it a little bit quicker and it's less jumping around for agents who are on the live class. It makes it a little bit easier to follow. So I'll go through kind of what the process looks like as well, and I'll remind you guys what to click in order to get back to this main page. So now that we are on this screen, we're going to go ahead and click on Create New Page on the top right-hand side in order to start our first page. And once this screen pops up, for every page that we do today, we are going to remain on My Agent site. So this will always be the one that we remain clicked on. This is going to create a page that will be essentially available for your Command website itself. If you're ever trying to create an independent page, it would be a landing page. We do have an entire class that goes over landing pages, but for today's class, we're doing on My Agent site. And then we'll just click on Create Page. and this process will get redundant, so I apologize. Once we've clicked on that, it's going to pull up what I call the blank slate. This is essentially where all of our content and data for our first page is going to pull to. First things first, anytime you guys are creating a new website page, whether it's a custom page, whether it's one of the pages on the notes that we provided, you want to make sure you give it a name. You'll notice that the default name isn't super helpful. We have no idea what this means. Giving this a name is just going to make sure that down the line, if you have to make an edit, if you have to change something, it's quick and easy, and you're going to know exactly what page it is. So for the first page today, we're going to go ahead and create a testimonial capture page. Whatever you guys want to name it is completely up to you, whatever makes sense. I normally just call it testimonial capture, just so when I go to make this page live later on, or if I ever need to make an edit down the line, I'll know exactly what page it is. So I've gone ahead and given it a title. Next thing is going to be to utilize the widget required to actually have that testimonial capture. I'm going to go through these widgets with you guys just to kind of go over what each one does, and then we'll go ahead and utilize the testimonial capture form afterwards. So as far as these widgets go, we do have a team widget. If you're currently set up as a team that is recognized by the office, meaning your Market Center administrator, your MCA, has added you to the team tool and you have a toggle button on command for a team, this team widget is going to allow you to promote everybody on your team on your website. So this is going to pull automatically from their marketing profile. It pulls their basic information, their headshot, their contact information to an actual page that will allow you to, again, just kind of present yourselves as a team. Agent profile is the exact same widget used for your original bio page. So when you guys look at your existing website and you see the About Me page, this is the widget that was utilized. We're going to use this shortly to use the school search page. This is the widget that we kind of manipulate to have that information. We also have a contact form, which is exactly what it sounds like. This is how your clients can provide their contact information. Something to keep in mind is at the bottom of every single website page on your website, it already has an interested let's talk lead capture form. So by having a contact form on any other page, it tends to be a little bit redundant. They do the exact same thing. They both capture contact information, they capture a quick note. So we don't really utilize this widget a whole lot, but if you are looking for something that will capture information, this is the option you can use. Testimonial carousel and testimonials list are pretty much the same thing. Only difference is this one is going to be a carousel and this one is going to be a list. This is how you can actually promote your captured testimonials. So once you have gone ahead and essentially created that capture page and your clients have started leaving you reviews, you can then come in here and utilize one of these widgets to actually show and display those captured testimonials. We also have the company profile. If you, again, are using the command website and you have the About Us page on your website, that is the company profile. We do not use this widget a whole lot, only because it does have some specific requirements. However, I do recommend coming in here and kind of playing around with this widget when you have some time, because it may be used to add some custom content. If you guys have like some local stats that you wanted to add, this is a great profile or a great widget to use in order to present that information. And then I'm going to jump down to my download my app. We'll be utilizing this for the next page that we add as well, but this is exactly what it sounds like. It is a widget that is going to promote your client-facing mobile app. It automatically embeds that mobile app. It is clickable from not only a computer, but also from any sort of mobile device that your clients may use. And it's going to prompt them to download your branded mobile app, which is pretty cool. Then we'll jump over to our testimonial capture form. This is what we're going to be using for this particular page. Anytime that you guys are using a widget, any one of these at all, in order to get this on your actual website, all you're going to do is click down on the widget that you want, drag it over to your blank slate or your blank area, and then release your mouse. That's going to drag the widget over, and it's essentially going to make it so we can now make edits to that widget. Once I've dragged it over, you've noticed that it looks a little bit scary. It has that gray overlay. It's telling me that the widget hasn't been configured. That's completely fine, because now that I've dragged and dropped that widget on my blank slate, I can now go ahead and click on configure widgets all the way down in the bottom right. And once we click on that, it's essentially going to list the widgets that you've already dragged and dropped. I personally recommend doing them one by one if you're planning on stacking widgets on a page, just for your sanity. It makes it a lot easier to kind of go through and make edits. So now I'm just going to go ahead and click on my testimonial capture widget. And it brings me to where all of my edits can be made. When it comes time to creating custom pages, when you're using a widget, 100% of the time, the edits that you make, if you're using a widget, will be done in this very small area on the right-hand side. So anytime I edit information on the right-hand side, I can do save and apply, and it's going to apply to my massive blank slate. Think of this section over here, this massive section. This is actually a preview page. So edits being done on the preview section tend to mess up the layout, tend to mess up the formatting. So when you're editing something and it is in the widget, it will always be done in this little section on the right-hand side. So first things first, we have our team name. If you are functioning as a team, a spouse team, or maybe you're just trying to brand yourself as a team, that is what you can type in here. For this, I'm going to type in Scott Leroy Marketing as our team. If you're functioning as an individual agent, you can even just put like John Smith, whatever your name is, that's completely fine as well. For our headline, this is again completely up to you. The pages that we're creating today, I'm going to give you guys suggestions, and this is how we would normally set them up. If there's something that you're looking to set up a little bit more in a unique fashion, maybe you have different verbiage you want to use, that is completely fine. For this, what I normally put is leave a review. This is going to replace this bolded headline text at the top. So instead of saying headline text, it's going to say leave a review with an exclamation point. For our description, you'll notice that there's already a description in here. If you have something specific you want to plug in here, you can. We generally just leave it as is. This is going to be the information that shows up right underneath that headline text. If you do want to add your own custom information, you have up to 200 characters to work with. Then we have our review headline. I'm going to leave this exactly as such as well. This is going to be what shows up right above those stars. So how would you rate your experience? The next section is our review placeholder text. This is actually what's going to show up as a suggestion in the review section. Letting your clients know what type of information you're trying to capture from them. How was your experience? How did the agent, or how did they help you through the transaction? Did they make the buying and selling process clear? Anything else you would like future clients to know? If there's something specific you want to add in there, by all means, you can tweak this. Just keep in mind that if you do start to make edits, it will automatically wipe out what's already there. This is just a suggestion. So really what we would do, add in the team name, add in the headline, and then we would do save and apply. But if you guys have custom information, you can plug that in. Now that that's been added, I'm just going to go ahead and click on save and apply. And this is going to apply those two edits to my template. You'll notice that my leave a review was replaced. It's also plugged in our team name into our review headline. So it now says, how would you rate your experience with Scott Leroy Marketing? And then at the bottom, it also says, would you recommend Scott Leroy Marketing, yes or no? Now that that information has been added, we can go ahead and save our changes on the top right-hand side of our page. And before anybody jumps ahead, we are not going to click yes. So when we click on save changes, we're actually going to go ahead and click on no. If we were to click on yes, what that does is it makes the page live and goes through that full process right off the bat. Where we are creating multiple pages to avoid jumping around, we're going to click no for all of the pages until we do our last page. So we're going to go ahead and click no. Once we click no, you'll notice it brings us right back to that consumer tab. So when you click on consumer, this is where it brings you. You'll notice our page has now been populated, or it's been created. It's showing up here. You'll also notice that it has a gray eyeball. This means that it's not yet live on our website. This also means that the template that we just created is available. It's just not live on our website yet. So if you're in the process of maybe creating a custom page, maybe you're kind of adjusting the layout, adjusting how you want it to show up. Maybe you're, waiting on some additional information. You can save something as a page without making it live on your actual website. And that is how you would do it. You would click on that save changes, click on no, and it creates the page here. It's just not live on the website. The teal eyeballs mean that it is a live page on your website. And if somebody goes to this physical website, all of the teal eyeballs are going to be on that drop-down list. The gray eyeballs will not. We're now going to go ahead and create our next page, which is going to be our mortgage calculator. So I'm going to go ahead and do create new page. Again, I'm going to leave my on my agent website selected and do create page. First things first, we're going to give this a title, and I'm just going to call it mortgage calc. Once we've given it a title, we're going to go ahead and set up our page so we can go ahead and plug in the HTML code needed in order to have that interactive mortgage calculator. So in order to set up our page, we're going to be using our download my app widget. And all I'm going to do is drag and drop my download my app widget over to my blank slate. And you'll notice that no configuration is needed. It automatically drops it in. It does sometimes take a second. So if you do have that gray overlay, don't panic, give it a second, and it normally disappears for you. Once we've added that, we're now going to jump into our content blocks. You'll see it's right above configure widgets. And when I click on that, it gives me two options. I have an image option and I have a text option. We're going to be using the text option in order to get that HTML code added to this website page. And I'm going to show you guys how to get this added, but before following along, make sure that when you're dragging and dropping, notice how when I drag it over, it's trying to put that text box underneath my app that I just added or that widget that I just added. That green line is telling me where this text box is going to show up. I want to make sure that green line is above my mobile app widget. So when you drag and drop that over, make sure that that green line is showing up above your mobile app widget before releasing your mouse. Once you guys have that text box in there, I normally go ahead and just double click the text. That way I can go and grab my HTML code, which I'll drop in the chat. And for anybody who is following along, the notes for this class are hyperlinked in the notes of the YouTube channel. So you guys will have access to all of the notes as well. And then I'll go ahead and I'm going to pull up our mortgage calculator page. And I'll drop this in the chat just in case you guys don't have the notes up. So for the mortgage calculator, if you guys are following along with the notes, and I'll pull those up just so you guys can see it. If you guys are following along with the notes, all you want to do is locate the mortgage calculator. The code is right here. You can either copy it from here, or you can also physically go to the URL, whichever is easier for you. On the actual URL, this is the code that we're going to be grabbing, and this is what the mortgage calculator looks like, just so you guys can see a preview. You'll notice that it is fully interactive. Your clients will have access to come in here and type in home value, down payment, loan amount. They'll be able to configure all of this, and it will be fully interactive on your website, which is pretty cool. So for the code itself, we're going to want to scroll to where you see step 2, copy your source code. And all we're going to do is click on copy to clipboard. It flashes really quickly and it says copied. And once you've done that, that means that you've copied this entire code. And we can now go back to our command page. I'm just going to right click right over my highlighted text in order to paste over it and paste my information in. And if you paste as plain text, that's also fine. Once you've pasted that in, this obviously is not very pretty. We want to make sure that this is activated. In order to make sure that the code is live, all I'm going to do is highlight it. And then I'm just going to click on this little link button. Generally, if you hover over it, it should say link. Looks kind of like a paperclip. We're going to go ahead and click on this, and it's just going to make that code live. And essentially, activates that HTML so you can see exactly what it's going to look like. Scroll through, just make sure that it looks correct and that it's showing up as active for you. And now we'll go ahead and do the exact same thing as our last page, as we're going to go ahead and click on Save Changes on the top right. And then we'll click on No once more. So Save Changes and then No. Now our next page was created. Again, we have that gray eyeball. It's not yet live, but this is letting us know that it is officially added to the back end of our website. The next page that we're going to be adding is a local school search. So this is going to be based on your specific location, which is pretty cool. And we're going to go ahead and I'll share the link with you guys again. And we're going to go ahead and get the page started first, just like we did with our mortgage calculator, kind of get our template up and going. That way we can just paste the code in once we have it. So we'll go ahead and do create new page again. And we'll stay on my agent site and do create page. And then for this one, I'm just going to call this school search. School search. And once we give it a title, we're actually going to be using the agent profile option for this particular page. I'm going to show you guys how to manipulate the agent profile as well, just in case you guys like that widget, you like that template. I'm going to show you guys how much information you guys can plug into this that isn't actually your bio. So we're just going to go ahead and drag and drop this page over. And you'll notice right off the bat, it pretty much just regenerates that About Me page. It has your headshot, it has your name, it has your designation, it has your bio, it has your contact information. Pretty straightforward. It's definitely an About Me page. In order to tweak this and kind of customize it, we're going to go ahead and click on our Configure Widget section. We're going to do the exact same thing as our testimonial page, and we're just going to click on the actual widget. So Agent Profile. And this is going to give us access to edit all of those platforms, all of those areas. From here, you guys can go nuts. You guys can change anything you want on this actual page, which is pretty cool. So as far as this layout goes, first things first is our page title. It's not going to be Scott Leroy anymore. It's going to be updated to fit the actual page that we're creating. So for this one, I'm just going to call it Local School Search. Local School Search. And you guys can call it school search. You guys can call it local schools, whatever you guys want. For the role and company, I'm going to go ahead and just put search for schools in your area. Search for schools in your area. And again, you guys can copy these from the notes as well if you have that up. These are all typed into the notes for you if you guys just want to copy and paste. For the bio title, we are literally going to delete the information that's there and just hit the space bar. So all we want is one space. So if you delete the information, you'll notice it says enter bio title ... hit a space bar, and that is going to kind of just appease the requirement. So in other words, this is a required field, but we don't really want About Scott to be showing up above our local school search. But if you hit a space bar, it's going to kind of fill in that field with what it requires. It requires at least one character, and nothing's actually going to show up. So that's perfect. That's all we want is just a space. Then for our agent bio, we want to go ahead and delete everything in here until it says enter agent bio ... So enter agent bio ... And you'll notice the second I clicked away, I get the angry red square. We want the angry red square. So if you're seeing that, that's perfect. Once you guys have that set up, I'm going to go ahead and just pull up the next page, and I'll share this in the chat. Give you guys a second just to catch up as well. This is the Great Schools Search widget. This is something that is only available within the United States. So if you are outside of the United States, if you're in an office that's in Canada, unfortunately, this will only pull locations within the United States. So as far as this goes, all we're going to do now is just plug in some basic information into that page. So we have choose address, zip, city, state. My personal recommendation, city and state tends to cover a larger area. So plug in the city and state that's closest to you. So if you practice real estate in like Massachusetts and you are just outside of Boston, you may want to type in Boston, Massachusetts. If you practice real estate in Florida, like I personally live just outside of Sarasota in a very small town. So I normally use Sarasota, Florida, because it's a more localized area. If I could spell Sarasota, Florida. And then once I click away, you'll notice that the interactive map automatically updates with that information. So you'll just want to make sure that you plug in whatever city and state is closest to you. And then once you click away, it will update to kind of pull that up. And look at all those schools. There's a ton of schools around here. Once you have that plugged in, we're going to leave the size of the actual widget the exact same. So we're not going to edit that. We are, however, going to plug in our email address. So I'm going to go ahead and type in Scott's email. And then I'm going to go ahead and plug in the website URL that we're plugging this into. Hopefully, you know your website URL. If not, you can always come back in here and check it later. That's completely fine. So ours is Scott Leroy Market. .com. And then once you've typed in your email and your website URL, you'll notice that you have this little I agree to the widget. Click on the little check marks, and then you'll get a get widget code clickable button. And once we click on that, all it's going to do is give us that massive code. So we have our city state, we're leaving this alone. We have our email, we have our website, checkbox, and then get widget code. And then you have this code will populate. And all I'm going to do is select the entire code. And I'm just going to copy it. You can cut it, you can copy it. It tells you to cut it. It does the exact same thing. So cut or copy. As long as you have a copy of it, that's all we need. So once I have that, I'm going to go back to my command. And I'm essentially going to be adding this into the bio section, but I want to make sure that it's also going to be centered. So I'm going to go ahead and I apologize because I always call these the wrong thing. It's like the less than greater than symbol. We're going to type in center and then the less than greater than symbol. I've been told by some agents that it's also called a caret. Whatever you guys call them, that is the symbol you want. So you just want to make sure that you type that in. What that's going to do is it's going to center this widget. So in other words, if we add this in and we did save and apply, it ends up putting the widget right about here. And it doesn't look that great. It kind of looks a little bit sloppy. By adding this center and then pasting in my information, it's going to make sure that this widget shows up right smack in center in that section. Generally, I recommend also adding center at the end. So I normally do less than, greater than, center, and then again. Normally you would end it, you would do a little slash in order to end the center, the code. For some reason, it doesn't always work. So this is guaranteed, it works. So I know if anybody does code, if anybody writes HTML, I know this is a little bit funky, but this is kind of the best way to make sure that this widget shows up centered every single time. So now that I've typed in my less than, greater than, center on both the top and the bottom of my code, I can do save and apply, and it's going to show up with that school search in the center of my About Me widget. It's also updating my local school search for schools in your area. If you happen to have like a cute little school or whatever, maybe you have a team logo you want here, you can also swap out the headshot. That's completely fine. I'm going to leave it as Scott, but if you guys have something, that is completely fine. You guys can swap it out. But now you can see you can plug in a lot of different stuff into this particular widget. If you are looking to embed maybe a YouTube video, or maybe you're looking to embed like an interactive form, maybe you created a Google form, anything along those lines, if you're able to obtain HTML, keep in mind, JavaScript does not play nice with the command website. It does have to be HTML. But if you have an HTML option, you can plug that into the bio section with this little less than greater than center. It will plug it right in and it keeps it centered. Meaning that if somebody's looking at this on their mobile phone, if somebody's looking at this on a tablet, if somebody has an absolutely massive monitor and they're looking at this, it's going to keep this centered no matter what. It's not going to left align or right align, no matter the size of the monitor or device that's being used when you're looking at this website page. That's what that little center button or center information is going to do. But you guys can plug HTML into here and it's going to allow you to utilize this beautiful widget, keeps everything nice and clean. Instead of just dropping information onto a blank page, keeps it nice and organized. So that's just something to keep in mind. You guys can manipulate what we're doing for the pages today to fit custom information that you may also want to add to your website. So now that I've done my save and apply, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do our save changes once more. And this time we're actually going to go ahead and click on yes to make these pages live and added to our website. So we're going to go ahead and click on yes. And if you guys jumped ahead and clicked no, don't worry, I'll show you guys how to get here. If you guys did click on no, all you're going to want to do is click on site and app settings in the top right-hand corner. And then agent site pages, and you'll be exactly where we are. So site and app settings from the consumer tab. So if I could click back to consumer and do site and app settings, and then agent site pages, this is where when you click yes to make a page live, or if you maybe have a page that you want to make live after the fact, this is where you need to go. So where we are now is where all of our agent site pages are showing up. This is showing us what's live, what's active on our website. We have about us, about me, and contact us. That being said, I have access to edit the existing pages. So maybe I don't want this to be about us. Maybe I want this to actually say company profile, or I want it to be like Keller Williams or meet the team or whatever it may be. I can change the existing page title for this page, click on save. And now on the actual drop down of my website, this is now going to be called company profile. That's as easy as it can get as far as editing that information. You also have access to add new pages. So I can come in here and do add page. And I now have access to the 3 pages that we created today. First things first, I have my testimonial capture. So I'm going to make sure that I select that bubble. And then I'm going to click on continue in order to make this a live page on my website. Once I click on continue, it's going to pull up that same kind of pluggable fields that I had for my company profile. And I can go ahead and give it a page title, a slug, and an SEO description. These are all noted on the actual notes as well. So going back to our notes really quick, our testimonial capture page, you guys can literally copy and paste these right from the notes. So if you guys are looking to kind of update that, you have access to do that as well. So I'm going to come in here and I have this up on a different screen. So I'm just going to copy them in. So I have leave a review. For my slug, I have leave -a review. The dash kind of acts as a space. That way it still makes sense. Because if you just type it in as leave a review without dashes, it kind of looks like a garbled mess. Those spaces make it a little bit, or those dashes make it a little bit easier for your client to read. And this is, again, a slug is going to be the tail end of the URL. So say you're trying to share the specific page, leave a review. Maybe you're trying to add URL to your email signature, and you want to make sure that your clients can leave your review when you email them. You can add this to your email signature, and if you want them to get to that specific page, you would just give them the full URL with that slug, and that will leave them right on that page. It will bring them right to that page automatically. Then we have our SEO description, and I have tell us about your experience with, and I'm just going to put Scott Roy Marketing. And you would just plug in whatever your team name is or whatever your name is, whatever you guys want to populate there. Once we've plugged in these pieces of information, I can go ahead and click on save. And now this page is an active page on our website. And I'm going to pull that up just to show you guys. And now you'll see this is an active page on our command website. And it shows up right on the bottom of our dropdown. So the next two pages, I'm going to do add page again. Process will be the exact same. So again, it does get a little bit redundant. I apologize. We have our mortgage calculator. And then I'm just going to go ahead and click on continue. And then for mortgage calculator, I'm going to copy these notes from the notes as well. And I have for my page name, mortgage calculator. For slug, mortgage dash calculator. And then for our SEO, I have mortgage calculator to assist with the home buying process. I'm just going to paste that in and add an exclamation point. Once we have these pieces of information added, we're going to go ahead and save this one as well. You get that little green ribbon. That just means that it's been saved correctly. And I did just get a question as well asking if we already plugged those names in when creating the page. You did plug in the name of the page. Now you're making it live on your website. So that's why it is so important to name that particular page, because as we click on that add page button, you'll notice that that name that you plugged in is showing up as the actual page. If you didn't name them, it would be very difficult to figure out, okay, this is my testimonial capture. This is my mortgage calculator. This is my school search. It would be very difficult to make sure that you're labeling them correctly when you go to make them live on your website. Next thing, we're going to go ahead and add that last page. So I'm going to do add page once more. Click on my school search bubble and continue. And now we'll plug in our information for this one. I have my local school search as my page title. For my slug, I normally just do school search just to keep it short and sweet, school-search. And then for SEO, I have search for schools in your area. So local school search, school-search, and then search for schools in your area. And again, you guys can copy these right from the notes. Then we'll go ahead and do save. Now that we've had those pages added, what I generally recommend is making sure that contact us is last, and normally leave a review is right above that. So contact us is generally last, and then leave a review should be right above that. The reason for that is because at the end of the day, your clients are coming to your website in order to gain value, whether it's looking for properties, whether it's trying to figure out the cost of their home, whether it's trying to figure out some more information about you to see if they want to work with you as a real estate agent. Making sure that you're putting all of the valuable pieces first is going to mean that they're that much more likely to not only reach out to you, but they're that much more likely to leave a review. So generally making sure that the kind of what you're asking of them is last after the value that you're providing to them. And it's not required, it's just a recommendation. I'm going to go ahead and save that just so those are locked in. And then I'm going to go back to my agent site pages, and we're going to go over two more things. I always go over on this class, so I apologize. We're going to go ahead and add a completely custom page. I want to show you guys kind of what that looks like. And then I'm also going to show you guys what a testimonial looks like really quick. I've added a couple of kind of like, we'll call them dummy testimonials to Scott's website, and I'll show you guys how to get those added as well. So it will probably be like another 10 minutes. So again, I apologize. We always go over. There's so much fun stuff to cover for the websites. So as far as the website goes, I'm back on my agent site pages tab. This is where we can go ahead and add live pages or create template pages. And I'm going to create one more new page, and I'm going to leave it on my agent website and do create page. So when it comes time to adding completely custom content, what do? You guys do have access to manipulate all of these widgets. There's a ton of access in here. You guys can kind of play around with them. And if you ever break a widget, you can always just kind of restart with a new page. Don't panic. It's physically impossible to break your website. The best way to kind of familiarize yourself with it is just clicking around. Drag and drop the widgets that you want to use, drag and drop the widgets that you might be interested in, and just play around with them. Again, you can't break anything. I promise, we have tried. As far as the custom content, maybe you have vendors, maybe you have some custom information about a team, anything along those lines that you guys are trying to add, you have multiple ways that you can do this. The easiest and quickest way to do it is by using a Google Doc. Yes, a Google Doc. I understand how silly that sounds, but you can format a Google document. Google document, this is a Google Doc. What that means is you can format your information on an actual Google Doc. I'm going to go ahead and essentially set this page up. I'm going to call it test content, just so I can make it live after to show you guys. Ooh, sorry, I'm starting to lose my voice. So as far as our test content, you can pull anything that you want from a Google Doc after formatting it. You do still need to utilize a widget. You need to at least add one to the website. As you'll notice, if I go to save changes right now, it's saying to publish this page, configure the widget button, enter in all the required fields. So in order for us to actually do something with this page, I do need to have some widget. I'm going to go ahead and use the mobile app one. Generally, if you're adding custom content, this is normally my recommendation because at the end of the day, all it's going to do is promote your consumer-facing, client-facing mobile app, which that's never a bad thing. So it's just kind of adding a clickable link to that page, to your direct mobile app. There's nothing required of you. It automatically hyperlinks to your mobile app. There's no way that you can accidentally mess that URL up, which is fantastic. So at the end of the day, that's normally the widget. If you're just looking to add completely custom content, that's the one that I recommend utilizing. So for our content blocks, I'm going to go ahead and use our text option. And I'm just going to drag and drop that again right above my mobile app because my main focus of the page is going to be what I'm adding into that text box. So I want it to be first. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull up my website 201, and it may require me to plug in. Normally you have to be logged into the owner of that document. So if you guys are using a document that maybe you created on another email, just make sure you're logged in. You'll notice that you're logged in because it will let you make edits to it. The document that I've created, pretty straightforward, sold properties. This is a great way to get, again, not only custom content, maybe about a team, about vendors, you guys can add tables in here, whatever your familiarity with Microsoft Word is, anything you can do in Microsoft Word, you can do in a Google Doc. The Google Doc essentially acts as kind of like a hosting platform. So what that means is once I've kind of edited my information and I've copied this information from this page, I can paste it directly into that text box, and all of this is going to remain exactly as it is. So these images that I've added, I had gone ahead and I essentially opened up my Google document. I clicked on insert, I clicked on image, and I uploaded it from my computer. These are images that I had saved on my desktop. They are essentially dummy images. I pulled them from, I think Pixels. I can't remember which platform I pulled them from, but they are free stock photos that I just saved on my computer and uploaded them from my computer. This is the best way to ensure that your images remain available. Make sure that it is a downloaded image, toss it on your desktop, throw it in a folder on your desktop, and come into your Google Doc, do insert image and upload from computer. It will allow you to locate that image and it will add it directly into your document. You then have access to essentially, you can crop the image, you can adjust kind of how it shows up, you can shrink it, you can like stretch it out, whatever it may be. And then once you kind of have it sized the way that you want, you'll notice that when I click on an image and just kind of have it highlighted, it gives me all of these little outline box. You'll notice that it's centered. If I left align it, it's going to left align when I copy it. If I center it, it's going to leave it centered when I copy and paste this into that new page. So making sure that the information is not only italicized and bolded the way that you want it to when it comes to text, but making sure that the images that you're using are centered before you copy and paste the information is going to make sure that this information remains centered. If you don't trust that you've done that manually, you can also just select all of the content and just click on the center button. It should center everything that is selected. You'll notice that that was already done. So now that I've essentially highlighted all of my information, all I'm going to do is copy it, and you can use shortcuts here. That's completely fine. I'm just clicking to physically show you guys, considering you can't see my keystrokes. Control C, Control V will also work. So I'm going to go ahead and copy all of this content. I'm going to come over to my command. I'm going to double click my text just so I can kind of replace it. You can also just delete it and paste over it, whatever you guys want. I just don't want insert my text here to show up on my live page. So now I can go ahead and I can paste this in, and you'll notice all of that information stayed. My text stayed, my images are here, my italicized font, my bolded font, everything is centered, and I am good to go. Now that I've gone ahead and done that, I can essentially save my page and I can make this live, and it will remain exactly like that. If you guys are adding a video, if you guys are adding or embedding a YouTube video, anything along those lines, that's when I would generally recommend utilizing the agent profile box. This is going to help you make sure that it shows up pretty. And I know that sounds funny, but it's going to make sure that it shows up formatted. It's going to allow you to drop that embed code, that iframe code for that video directly into that bio section of the about profile. And it's going to keep that centered. It's going to keep it sized appropriately. It's going to allow it to show up beautifully on your website and on a mobile device. So that's something to keep in mind. If you have a ton of images that you're looking to add, maybe you're looking to set up more of like a grid system. You're not looking to kind of have them stacked like this. Keep in mind, you can also come in and you can insert a table. So if I come in here and I insert a table, I can start plugging images in here, copy this table and paste it in, and it will keep them exactly like that. Anything you can do in Word, you can do in a Google Doc. And I can't stress that enough, because Microsoft Word, if you guys have ever utilized it, fantastic. Ton of options in there. Google Doc, exact same thing. Ton of options in there. And it allows you guys to format kind of on, think of this as like a safety net too. It allows you guys to format it on this file. I now have access to this file anytime I want. I've bookmarked it. It's on my Google Drive, kind of just sitting there waiting. So heaven forbid I accidentally click the wrong button in here. If I go ahead and I like delete this image or I mess something up in here, I can literally come back into this page. I can just delete that entire section, re-add my text box, re-add or recopy my information from here, and just repaste it in, and all of my stuff is back. And here's my table. So it allows you to kind of have that carbon copy. That way, heaven forbid you accidentally delete something or anything along those lines, you'll be able to come back in here and repaste it in. The only thing I do want to stress, a regular Word document, any regular Word document. So like I have this guy up on another screen. These are my notes for class that I copy from. If you were to do it in a regular Word document, the images are going to show up as that little frowny face. They do not save the images. If you are using images, make sure you are using a Google Doc. Again, the Google Doc adds as kind of like a hosting platform. So as you add that image, it allows it to actually be copied and pasted into the website, as long as the image remains here. If I were to delete this image now, after making this page live, chances are this will show up as a broken image within a couple of hours. So making sure that you kind of just keep this page, leave it on your Google Drive, that's completely fine. You can piggyback off of the same page and, you know, cut and paste in sections. You can do multiple different pages based on the website page you're creating. Whatever you guys want, you guys can set it up. But this is a great workaround to get custom content added to your website quickly and easily. So you guys do have access to that. The last thing I wanted to cover, as far as these sections go, if you haven't utilized these before, you do have access to also hide items on your website. So if I click on these three bars and click on the eyeball for the widget, I just hid my mobile app widget. You'll note I can't scroll down anymore. If I uncheck it, it shows up. If I click on the eyeball, it will hide the overall widget, meaning the widget's no longer showing up. So yes, the widget is required on your website in order to save, but it doesn't actually have to show up, which is pretty cool. So if you guys are in a situation where you don't really want that mobile app to be showing up at the bottom of your page, don't panic. You can just click on the 3 dots, locate where the mobile app is, and click the eyeball. It's going to cross the eyeball out, and it's essentially going to hide that widget or hide that mobile app from showing up on the active page once you make it live. So I'm going to go ahead and do save changes. I'm going to click on yes, and I'm just going to do add my page, and I'm going to add my test content page by clicking my bubble and doing continue. I'm not going to change anything just so I can show you guys the live page. And then I'll go ahead and copy this and toss it into a new tab. Oh, or we'll just refresh it here. I still had all of my custom content copied. So we'll do new page, and this is what the page will show up as. Notice our mobile app is not showing up. Here's my grid, which you can hide the lines of the grid too. Again, any Microsoft Office users, Microsoft Word users, you can hide the outline if you need to. And then you'll notice all of my content is here. Everything is centered. I can zoom in, I can zoom out. It's going to stay centered and it stays there. So as far as that platform goes, that is a great workaround to getting custom content added to your website. Last but not least, I promise, going back to the agent site pages, in order to add testimonials. So if someone has gone ahead and they've essentially gone to, click on this really quick. If someone has gone to your leave a review page, or maybe as an agent, you have a couple of reviews that you're just looking to add to your website. Maybe someone emailed it to you. Maybe it was added on a different platform. It's an old school review from your Playstore website, whatever it may be. You can come in here. You can plug in the required information. Everything is required, but you can put spaces if you don't have the information. Make sure that you give yourself a full 5 stars, plug in the review, and then you can submit it. It won't let me submit it because I haven't plugged in everything. But as long as you have something in each box with the red asterisk, it will allow you to submit that through. Once you have a submitted review, you can come into your command platform, go to consumer, create a new page, and I'm going to show you guys what the actual testimonial page looks like. So once I do this, again, on my agent site, create page. I can call this one reviews. And then you have a testimonial list and a carousel. Carousel only allows 4 testimonials to show up, which isn't a whole lot. So if you only have 4 testimonials, that's completely fine. I personally recommend the list because it allows 12. So I'm going to go ahead and just drag and drop my testimonials list. You'll notice again, it looks pretty scary. It has that gray overlay. It's letting me know that it hasn't been configured yet. Once I click on my configure widgets, I can click on my testimonials list. It's going to ask for this very similar information that our testimonial capture page did. It wants a headline. So for here, I can put something along the lines of like client reviews. You can put like, see what our clients have to say. What our clients have to say. Whatever you guys want to plug in here, completely up to you. Client review, see what our clients have to say. Now I have access to select what I want to show up. I'm going to leave all of these selected just so you guys can see them. So once I do save and apply, it pulls all of the testimonials that we've added to the back end of Scott's website previously. Lots of reviews from Mickey and Minnie. But you guys have access to edit. Say maybe I don't want the city to show up. I don't want the neighborhood. I only want first name, last name, and client since. I can apply that and it's going to remove those pieces of information for me. If you want everything, you can leave them selected, save and apply. You guys can kind of finagle this as well. Each time you do save and apply, it just kind of applies the updates that you've made so you can see exactly what the page will look like prior to moving forward. That being said, all of our testimonials are tucked in here. I do have access to click on browse testimonials, and it's going to show everything that's showing up on the back end of our website. You'll notice that we have a ton of test ones that have come in. So I can come in here and check off the additional testimonials that recently came through, click on continue, and it's going to allow me to then do save and apply, and now they're showing up. This little show more button is clickable, and it's going to show me all of the additional testimonials that are nestled under there. You do have access to edit what testimonials also show up by unchecking these boxes. So maybe I don't want all of these to show up. Maybe someone accidentally got confused and submitted the same review multiple times. It happens very frequently. I can remove those duplicates, do save and apply. And again, it's going to show me exactly what's going to show up. This show more button will be on the live page, so don't panic. Once they click on that, it will show all of the additional testimonials that are underneath them. You cannot change the order of the testimonials. Don't panic, but unfortunately, it's not something that we can update. It does automatically pull based on when they were submitted on your actual website. So you guys do have access to essentially check those off. You can add them in. If you previously had the capture page on your website and you removed it and now you're re-adding it, your testimonials that were previously captured will still be there. Doesn't remove anything if you guys remove the actual testimonial page or the capture page. These testimonials that were preserved by your website, captured by your website, will remain here for use if you decide to use them in the long run. In order for new testimonials to be added, you would need to come in and physically edit the page, which I'll show you guys how to do. But once you guys come in, you do the configure widget just like you normally would, browse testimonials, and then you can come in here and check off the new ones under all testimonials in order for them to populate. We do also have a quick tip video that goes over this just in case you guys need it, or if you're having trouble finding it, just shoot us an email and we can also take a look at it for you. I'm going to go ahead and back out of this and I don't want to save that one. If you guys do have an existing testimonial page that maybe you created and you just want to pull in new testimonials, 3 dots for any page and edit is going to pull up that exact page. So if I pull up like school search and do edit, it's going to pull up exactly where we left off. And now I have access to configure widgets, click on the widget, and now I have full access to edit where I left off. That will apply to any page, including your testimonials page, including your company profile, your about me, any page that you guys create. They are fully editable at any point in time. Once you guys make your changes, save and apply and publish, we'll update the live page on your website. That pretty much concludes everything. I know we went over and I apologize. If you guys do have questions kind of as you start poking around, definitely just let us know. I will go ahead and drop the notes again in the chat for you guys, and anybody who is watching the recording. The notes are hyperlinked again at the bottom of this page. So right on YouTube, it will be right underneath the video. It will say class notes with a clickable link. And anytime you guys are adding custom pages, anytime you guys are making revisions, once you guys are done, come back to your consumer page, go to your live website, and make sure that each page looks the way you want it to. Make sure that you are checking your spelling, check your layout, make sure it looks correct, because sometimes your eyes will play tricks on you. So make sure that you're just double checking before you're kind of completely done. But yeah, if you guys come across anything, just let us know. And I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day.